Well, the now number 18 ranked Memphis Tigers also in action over the weekend. And you can look at this game two ways. Good, they edged out a win, or bad because they should have never let it get this close in the first place. Memphis get the scoring going thanks to a clinical big man dunk from Musa Cisse, but the shooting accuracy goes downhill real quick from both teams. ECU not getting their first bucket until nearly 6 minutes in, but then the Pirates start treating the ball like it's treasure and cut what was once a 9-point lead for Memphis to just 2. The Tigers, though, pouncing back, going on a shooting flurry, 16 straight points, including the alley-oop that you're going to see right here from Colby Rogers to Nick Jourdain to go up by 18. Yeah, that's just pretty to watch. Then the nifty pass from the returning and injured Dante Harris to Cisse gives the Tigers a 38-24 lead at the half. Memphis looking red hot. The Pirates as cold as outside, shooting just 26% from the field in the first half. But they must have grabbed some hand warmers because then everything starts falling. The Pirates knocking down 9 of their first 10 shots and grabbing 17 second half points off of 10 Memphis turnovers to erase the 18-point deficit and tie it up at 68 with just over a minute to go. But PJ Haggerty with a game high 27 points and Tyrese Hunter with 14 used their experience like they have so many times this year to ice this one out 74-70.
These guys, instead of stepping on the pedal, they're just thinking, oh, it's just another game. It's not, because they're going to keep coming. And we have to do the same thing. So it was kind of disheartening to watch the effort in the first 5 minutes in the entire of the second half and the entire second half. Happy that we got out of here with a victory. Every game is not going to be a blowout. I wish it would have kept going the way that it was going. But to win this game is all you have to do.
Avery, are you with Penny here in the sense that you're happy that they got out with a victory, or are you saying it should have been a much bigger victory?
Yes, and both and. Yeah, I mean, you win the game, and that's essentially all that matters, is that you got out of there with a win. And I think that's always going to be the most important thing. Penny's not going to sneeze at it. Nobody in Memphis is going to sneeze at a win. The reality is you are trying to improve your seeding when it comes to the NCAA tournament. You did enough in the non-conference schedule, going 10-3 in the stretch that they went on, really impressive wins, that you put yourself in a position where you cannot be in that 7, 8, 9 kind of seed line where you end up playing the number 1 seed on whatever side of the bracket you end up on. You want to be in that 4 or 5 region, right? And so in order to do that, in order to improve those computer numbers, they have to beat teams by 30 points. And ECU is a team where you got up by, I think their biggest lead was 18 in the first half. You got to hold that and at least win the game by 20. You know what I'm saying? I think that's really going to be a point of emphasis for Penny Hardaway moving forward. These guys have to stay motivated and stay ready to play throughout the entirety of a game. And I think we've probably only seen them play a full 40 minutes. Maybe Ole Miss, the UConn game, when you go into overtime and things like that. But even then, you also allowed leads to slip away in some of those other matchups where you did get big wins. So, yeah, they're not going to be upset at, beating a team at 74-70 over ECU. But Eastern Carolina is not a good team. And there's no reason that game should have ever been close again.
Yeah, I mean, we saw the FAU game in non-conference, the only non-conference game where they it felt like they maybe played the full 40, but even then, maybe not quite. And that's the concern for me as you look at the rest of the season. And I know everyone's kind of getting flashbacks to last year, and Nick Jourdain, the only returning scholarship player from last year, said, no, this game is an outlier.
It ain't look like an outlier to me,
well,
but you know what I'm saying?
I hear that, and I think, well, Arkansas State, what was that? Mississippi State, what was that? And Mississippi State's a good team, so that one's a little bit,
top 15 team.
We'll give them that, but also they looked half asleep the entire game. They looked lethargic. I'm looking at that game, I'm like, I don't know if it's an outlier. But then you also hear Penny say, the only guy on this entire team that knows what to be with a winning team looks like is Tyrese Hunter. Right. And that does make sense, because every other guy's out there like, oh, cool, we're up. I haven't really done this that much with my teams. Sweet, we'll just,
coast. You try to coast.
Try to coast. And I can see it for a reason or two. If you're PJ Haggerty, and I'm not saying he particularly was coasting, he obviously had another incredible game, but you're someone like him, you're like, man, I'm tired. I'm playing plus 30 minutes every single game. All right, I might just go a little slower on this possession, or I might, give the ball to someone else and let them have a go with it. And then we're seeing turnovers once again creep up. I think it was 16 turnovers Just way too many, and it's a fine line, right? It's pretty similar with the Grizzlies. You don't want them to be scared in passing the ball and not going for those passes, but at the same time, it's like, okay, this is too many turnovers because once again, you're giving the other team points. They had so many points, 24 points off of those turnovers. 6-0 run to start the second half. That's what got ECU back in the game, was 6 straight points off of Memphis turnovers.
Fast break. It wasn't even just you turn the ball over and maybe it's out of bounds. It's you turn the ball over and now you got Jordan Riley and RJ Felton, these really talented guards out in space, and they're scoring in transition. And then they're able to set up their defense again, and you're dealing with that press that I wouldn't even say the press was really giving Memphis issues so much, but it was like something changed in that second half for a while. It did feel like the South Florida game last year. I mean, it was almost the exact same conditions. It snowed. Memphis got up really big early, and then you're just kind of watching it chip away, slip away, and you're like, I feel like I'm getting deja vu. But they pull the win out. And so at the end of the day, that's all you're going to care about.
And that's the difference.
When you go back and look at it, nobody's going to remember necessarily that they were up 18, 20 points. They're going to see that they won the game. What we talk about so much in this AAC play, though, this conference play, is you're avoiding landmines constantly. Every game in the AAC is a landmine. Every team that you play is going to treat it like a T-shirt game, like it's their quote-unquote Super Bowl. And I don't like saying that, but it's the truth. You're going to be everybody's best game. So you have to treat, when you get a team down by 15-plus points, to Penny's point, you got to put the pedal to the metal, step on their neck, and don't let them get up. And unfortunately, you let some of these guys get off the mat. It's only a matter of time when you have a game like this with an inferior opponent where they're gonna do just enough hanging around to eventually win the game. And we kind of saw that with the Arkansas State game. Arkansas State played well from start to finish in that one, but I don't know, man. You got Temple on Thursday. You can't have a similar performance and expect to win every one of those games.
Well, yeah, and Temple is their last Quad 2 game of the season as everything stands right now. So you talk about those milestones and those numbers and analytics and getting those big markers. That's a big one for Memphis. That's one you hope they rise for because this is a chance to bolster their resume as you head towards the NCAA. But, I mean, Temple, 10-6 right now, 5th in the AAC. East Carolina beat them by just 1 point. So if you go off that, you're like, okay, well, Memphis should
comparable
definitely...
team.
Yeah, Memphis, those should beat them because they beat East Carolina and didn't play well. So if you're looking at it like that, you're like, okay, well, this should be another win for sure for Memphis, which we're expecting with every single one of these AAC games. But it's not that simple. They have a good team. They're 51st in the country for pace and top 100 in scoring. It's not like it's just going to be another rollover game. And like we mentioned, they're going to live for this game because for them, it's a big win. It's probably more of a Quad 1 win than it is a Quad 2 win. Yeah, so for them, it's big. Jamal Mashburn, obviously coming from New Mexico, he's their leading scorer, 20.7 points, 32 threes, 31 assists this season. He's really been the dominant guy for them this year, and that's someone Memphis are going to try and have to stop. Lynn Greer was coming in. He was expected to be a big ball player. He just got suspended indefinitely now. He missed the first 9 games of the season with a different suspension. Came back, played a couple games, didn't do a ton, but he was expected to be a guy that they were really leaning on, so they've now had to kind of go to some other guys. So they've got a little bit less depth than you would say for Memphis, but Marshburn will obviously be a big test for them in regards. He's like almost the PJ Haggerty equivalent of Temple. But yeah, not having Greer is big for them, but I think it'll be a really interesting game Thursday. And I mean, Memphis on the road again, and it's a tough one. Yeah, well, despite the close win that they did have with ECU, they went from 19 in the AP Top 25 to 18. So you move up a spot, I know you're harping on a lot of stuff. It's not all doom and gloom. No, they are still undefeated in conference play. So, stuff to look forward to. So still a lot more to come.